I never imagined that planning my wedding would feel like navigating a minefield. From the moment I got engaged to my fiancée, everything seemed perfect. Sunny afternoons walking through the streets of New York, laughter over coffee at our favorite cafe, and the excitement of imagining our life together. Yet, the moment my mother-in-law entered the picture, the atmosphere shifted. She was elegant, poised, and sharp-eyed, a woman who clearly believed she had a say in every detail. The first conversation about the prenup happened casually, almost as if it were an afterthought. "It's just to protect your future," she said, her tone light, yet her eyes carried an intensity that made me uneasy. At first, I nodded politely, pretending to agree, but inside, unease twisted in my stomach. There was something off about her insistence, a calculated edge beneath the surface of concern. She was persuasive, and while I wanted to trust her, I couldn't shake the feeling that the prenup wasn't just about protection. I tried to reason with myself, maybe this was normal. Maybe all families, especially wealthy ones, wanted these precautions. But my fiancé had never mentioned such a requirement, and her mother's sudden insistence raised questions I didn't yet know how to ask. Then came the revelation that changed everything. I learned, almost by accident, that my fiancé wasn't marrying an ordinary man. She was about to marry the son of a billionaire, an heir to a fortune that could rival some small countries. Suddenly, the prenup made sense, but in a way I hadn't anticipated. My mother-in-law's concern wasn't merely for me, it was about the magnitude of wealth I was stepping into. It wasn't my financial security she was protecting, it was theirs. The thought struck me like lightning. Every polite conversation, every family gathering, every seemingly innocuous smile could have layers of calculation behind it. I tried to mask my shock when I saw him for the first time. He was nothing like the caricature of a spoiled heir that I had imagined. Confident, composed, and effortlessly charming, he carried himself with a quiet authority that demanded respect. There was a subtle elegance in the way he spoke, the way he listened, the way he carried himself. He didn't need to flaunt wealth, the aura of it was already there, in every measured word and graceful gesture. I realized immediately that this was a different world from the one I had imagined marrying into. As I left that meeting with my mother-in-law, the weight of the prenup pressed on my mind. It wasn't just a legal document, it was a symbol of the stakes I was entering. I couldn't ignore the implications, the unspoken rules, and the scrutiny that came with marrying into such a family. My fiancé was unaware of the subtle tension building behind closed doors, and I knew I had to tread carefully. Love felt like a fragile thing, easily overshadowed by fear, wealth, and expectation. Yet, despite everything, I couldn't deny my excitement, my hope, and my desire to step boldly into the unknown. Little did I know, this was just the beginning, the first layer of a complex story where family, wealth, and trust would collide in ways I could never have imagined. Meeting him in person was like stepping into a different world. The first time I saw him, he was standing by the window of his penthouse apartment, sunlight glinting off the skyline behind him. Tall, composed, with a calm confidence that seemed effortless, he carried an aura that commanded attention without demanding it. There was no flashy display of wealth, no ostentatious suits or expensive watches, but everything about him whispered power. I realized immediately that I was in the presence of someone used to influence, someone who navigated life with a steady, unshakable control. Our conversation began formally. Polite questions, measured answers, the kind of careful exchange that felt like a negotiation disguised as small talk. I sensed he was assessing me just as I was assessing him. My fiancé had painted him as warm and easygoing, and while there was warmth in his smile, it was tempered by precision. Every word, every glance, seemed intentional, deliberate. My mother-in-law hovered in the background, her eyes sharp, analyzing my reactions, ready to interject if necessary. It became clear that the prenup wasn't just about protecting wealth, it was a test, a way to gauge character, composure, and resilience. I tried to focus on genuine conversation, but the weight of the situation pressed on me. Questions ran through my mind. Could I meet the expectations of this world? Could I navigate a family so deeply entrenched in wealth and influence without faltering? My mother-in-law's insistence on the prenup suddenly made perfect sense. She wanted to ensure that no misstep could jeopardize her daughter's future. Every glance, every word, was layered with meaning. I realized that surviving this process required more than charm. It demanded patience, intellect, and an unwavering composure. Despite the tension, there were moments of genuine connection. He had a quiet sense of humor, a subtle warmth that broke through the formality. When he smiled, it was fleeting but real, and for a moment, the enormity of wealth and expectation faded. I saw the man my fiancée had fallen in love with, the one behind the family legacy, the wealth, and the scrutiny. That glimpse offered reassurance, a reminder that love could exist even in this complex, high-stakes environment. As the evening wore on, discussions shifted to wedding plans, family expectations, and logistics. Each topic, though seemingly mundane, carried hidden layers of strategy. Seating arrangements were scrutinized, gift lists carefully curated, even the timing of events debated. I realized this wasn't just a wedding, it was a meticulously orchestrated affair, a reflection of influence and legacy. And yet, amid all this, my fiancée's presence reminded me why I was here. Her excitement, her trust, and her unwavering belief in us grounded me. By the end of the night, I understood something vital. The prenup wasn't just a legal precaution, it was a symbol of navigating a world where love, wealth, and family expectation collided. To survive and thrive, I had to balance diplomacy with authenticity, caution with courage. And as I left the penthouse, looking out over the glittering city, I felt a mixture of apprehension and anticipation. The journey ahead would be challenging, but for the first time, I believed it was possible to step into this world and protect both love and integrity. The wedding day arrived in a whirlwind of silk, flowers, and whispered tension. From the moment I stepped into the hotel ballroom, I could feel the weight of expectations pressing down on me. Chandeliers sparkled above, casting soft light over pristine white tables adorned with crystal glasses and delicate floral arrangements. Every detail had been meticulously planned, and I knew that even the smallest misstep could be noticed by my mother-in-law or his family. The prenup still lingered in my mind, an invisible presence hovering over every smile, every gesture. I took a deep breath as I saw my fiancée waiting at the end of the aisle, radiant in her gown. Her smile was effortless, her eyes shining with excitement and love. For a moment, everything else faded, the scrutiny, the calculations, the tension. It was just us, two people promising a lifetime together. Yet, even as I stepped forward, the reality of the family's watchful eyes reminded me that this day was more than a celebration of love. It was a careful dance of diplomacy and patience. Her mother sat in the front row, posture perfect, eyes sharp as ever. I could feel her evaluating me with every step I took, every vow I prepared to make. The whispers of my heart and mind collided. Could love survive under such scrutiny? Could I show enough respect and integrity to satisfy the unspoken demands of wealth, power, and family expectation? I reminded myself that our vows were not just promises to each other, they were declarations of commitment in a world that measured everything, from actions to intentions, with precision. When I reached her, our hands met, and for the first time in hours, I felt a grounding calm. Her warmth flowed into me, and I realized that no amount of scrutiny or tension could overshadow what we shared. The officiant's words echoed in the hall, formal yet beautiful, a reminder of the vows we were about to take. Every "I do" carried weight, every promise more than just words. My heart raced, but amidst the grandeur, I found clarity. Love could exist even in this high-stakes environment, as long as we stayed honest and true to each other. The ceremony continued with a mixture of celebration and subtle tension. Family members smiled, nodded, and occasionally exchanged glances that hinted at the calculations behind their expressions. The prenup, though unsigned, hovered silently in my mind. I knew that later, I would have to face it with courage and clarity, but at that moment, it didn't matter. Today was about joining our lives, navigating expectations, and finding joy in the shared moments. By the time the ceremony ended and the applause faded, I felt a strange mixture of relief and anticipation. The most visible hurdle, the wedding itself, was over, but the challenges of trust, honesty, and family scrutiny were only beginning. Still, walking hand in hand with my fiancée, I realized that love could not only survive here, it could thrive. And in that thought, I found both courage and hope, ready to face whatever came next with strength, patience, and unwavering commitment. The celebrations finally wound down, and the glittering ballroom emptied, leaving behind only the soft hum of music and the faint scent of flowers. In the quiet, I found a moment to breathe, to reflect on everything that had unfolded. The wedding had been flawless on the surface, but beneath it, tension still lingered, the prenup, the weight of expectations, and the unspoken scrutiny of our families. I knew that the real test wasn't over, it was about navigating the world that awaited us after the applause faded. Later that evening, my mother-in-law asked to speak privately. Her sharp eyes softened slightly as we sat in the quiet corner of the suite. I pushed for the prenup because I was scared, she admitted, her voice lower, almost vulnerable. Scared that my daughter could lose everything if she married unwisely. Relief washed over me. The tension I had felt, the feeling that I was constantly being measured and evaluated, suddenly made sense. Her insistence had never been about mistrust toward me, it had been about protecting her daughter from potential heartbreak or financial vulnerability. I nodded, understanding the complexity of her intentions. The prenup, which had loomed over us like a shadow, transformed in my mind. It was no longer just a legal safeguard, it was a reflection of fear, love, and a desire for security. I realized that signing it wasn't a surrender or an obligation, it was a gesture of respect and trust. Later, with my fiancée by my side, I signed the document, feeling an unexpected sense of peace. This piece of paper, once intimidating and cold, became a symbol of understanding, of bridging gaps between families, and of commitment that transcended wealth and scrutiny. In the quiet moments that followed, I sat with my fiancée, watching the city lights flicker through the window. We laughed softly, reminiscing about the chaos of the day and the little moments that had made it memorable. I felt her warmth, the steady reassurance of her love, and I realized that together, we could navigate anything, the scrutiny of family, the expectations of wealth, or the complexities of life itself. The prenup no longer felt like a barrier, it was simply one of many steps in the journey we were beginning together. Over the next few days, interactions with both families became easier. My mother-in-law's sharpness was tempered with warmth, her advice offered more as guidance than judgment. Conversations with his family, once tense and calculated, started to carry subtle humor and genuine interest. I discovered that love and trust could coexist with wealth and power when approached with honesty, respect, and patience. By the time we returned from our honeymoon, a calm confidence had settled over our new life. I realized that the prenup, the scrutiny, and even the challenges of wealth had taught us something essential, that love is not only about passion or romance, but about understanding, communication, and navigating obstacles together. As I held my wife's hand, I knew that no matter what came next, we were ready, not just to survive, but to thrive, together, in a world where heart and legacy intertwined.